The warning lights in Europa Base's xenobiology lab flickered red for the third time that week. Dr. Nathan Rivera rubbed his tired eyes, wondering if the ancient station systems were finally giving up after 15 years of operation in Jupiter's harsh orbital environment. The calendar on his desk displayed day 847 of assignment, a reminder of how long he'd been studying the primitive bacterial life forms found in Europa's subsurface oceans. "Computer, run diagnostic sweep," Nathan commanded, his voice echoing in the empty lab. The station's AI responded with its usual monotone: "Anomaly detected in Sector 7. Signal pattern does not match known electromagnetic signatures." Nathan frowned. Sector 7 was the deepest part of Europa's ocean they'd managed to probe, nearly 100 kilometers beneath the ice. The instruments there had been silent for months. Display signal pattern. The holographic display materialized before him, showing wavelengths unlike anything he'd seen in his decades of research. They pulsed with an almost deliberate rhythm, defying natural explanation. As he leaned closer to examine the data, the lab's lights suddenly died, plunging him into darkness broken only by the ethereal blue glow of Jupiter through the reinforced windows. "Emergency power activated," the computer announced, as backup systems hummed to life. But something was different. The air felt charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. Nathan's skin tingled as a soft, melodic hum filled the room, growing louder with each passing second. Through the window, he watched in astonishment as a vessel emerged from Europa's icy surface, its hull composed of what appeared to be liquid crystal, refracting Jupiter's light in impossible ways. The ship was wounded, venting some kind of luminescent energy as it struggled to maintain altitude. Nathan's training kicked in. "Computer, activate emergency protocols. Prepare docking bay 3 for potential rescue operation." He rushed to the station's medical bay, gathering supplies for any conceivable type of life form. His heart raced with equal parts excitement and anxiety. This would be humanity's first contact with an advanced alien civilization, and he was the only one here to handle it. The ship docked with surprising grace despite its apparent damage. As the airlock cycled, Nathan held his breath, environmental suit sealed and medkit ready. The inner door slid open with a hiss, revealing a figure that challenged everything he thought he knew about alien life. She, if that was even the right pronoun, stood nearly 2 meters tall, her form humanoid but clearly alien. Her skin seemed to shift like the surface of a soap bubble, iridescent patterns flowing beneath a translucent exterior. Where hair should be, delicate tendrils of light swayed gently, responding to unseen currents. But it was her eyes that captured Nathan's attention, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, each one containing what looked like a spiral galaxy in miniature. The alien took one step forward and collapsed. Nathan rushed to catch her, surprised by how light she felt, like catching a soap bubble. His xenobiology scanner went wild, trying to categorize her bizarre physiology. She emanated warmth, but not like any life form he'd encountered. It was more like the heat of starlight, ancient and distant. "My ship." She spoke, her voice somehow bypassing his ears and materializing directly in his mind. "The resonance core is destabilizing. Please." Nathan's scientific mind raced to understand the implications of telepathic communication, but the urgency in her voice pushed those thoughts aside. "I'll help," he responded, both aloud and in his thoughts. "Can you walk?" She nodded weakly, and together they made their way to the observation deck overlooking her ship. The crystal hull was fracturing, patterns of light racing across its surface like lightning in slow motion. "The core," she gestured. "It needs to be realigned with the magnetic field of your moon. The interference disrupted our navigation systems." Nathan accessed the station's external manipulator arms, usually used for collecting ice samples. With her guidance, he carefully adjusted the ship's orientation until the crystal hull began to heal itself, the fractures sealing like water freezing in reverse. "Thank you," she said, her thought voice stronger now. I am Astrea, scout of the Luminari Confederation. She turned all three eyes toward him, galaxies spinning in their depths. And you are the first human I have ever met. Nathan removed his helmet, offering what he hoped was a reassuring smile. Dr. Nathan Rivera, xenobiologist. Welcome to Europa Base. He paused, then added, though I have to admit, you're a bit more advanced than the bacteria I usually study. A sound like wind chimes filled his mind. She was laughing. But before either could say more, Nathan's computer terminal burst to life. Multiple objects detected entering Jupiter's orbit. Configuration matches unknown vessel. Estimated arrival time, 6 hours. Astrea's luminescent patterns dulled noticeably. The Luminari Council, she whispered. They've found me sooner than I expected. She turned to Nathan, her expression unreadable but her thought voice tight with concern. Dr. Rivera, I fear your life is about to become considerably more complicated. The 6 hours passed like minutes as Nathan helped Astrea stabilize her ship's systems. He couldn't help but marvel at the Luminari technology. Their resonance core somehow harnessed the fundamental vibrations of spacetime itself, making human fusion drives look like steam engines in comparison. Your species achieved quantum manipulation without destroying yourselves, Astrea observed, her thought voice tinged with what felt like approval. She stood at the ship's control interface, her fingers dancing through holographic symbols that shifted like schools of fish. That's rarer than you might think. Nathan adjusted the station's shield harmonics according to her specifications, trying not to stare at the way her crystalline skin caught Jupiter's light. We came close to destruction a few times, he admitted. Still do, sometimes. But curiosity usually wins out over fear. A ripple of amusement passed through her tendrils. Curiosity. Yes, I've noticed that trait in you particularly, Dr. Rivera. Most beings would have shot first and asked questions later when an alien ship appeared at their doorstep. Please, call me Nathan, he said, then added with a smile, and shooting first would have made a mess of my research station. The paperwork alone would have been terrible. That wind chime laugh again, but it was cut short as the station's proximity alerts blared. Through the observation window, space itself seemed to fold, revealing 3 ships that dwarfed Astrea's vessel. Their hulls rippled with the same crystalline properties but were adorned with intricate patterns that pulsed with power. Astrea's patterns dimmed noticeably. The Council ships. They're earlier than expected. She turned to Nathan, all 3 of her eyes focusing intently on him. There's something you should know. Before she could finish, a beam of pure light connected the largest ship to Europa Base. Nathan felt a tingling sensation, and suddenly the observation deck was filled with tall, luminescent figures. Their forms were similar to Astrea's but more elaborate, their skin patterns more complex, their light tendrils longer and more numerous. The tallest among them stepped forward, their presence filling the room like sunlight. When they spoke, the thought voice carried layers of authority and age. Daughter of the third resonance, you have caused quite a disturbance. Nathan's jaw dropped. Daughter? The elder Luminari turned their attention to him, and Nathan felt the weight of centuries in their gaze. And this must be the human who aided our wayward princess. We are in your debt, Nathan Rivera. Princess? Nathan looked at Astrea, who managed to appear embarrassed despite her alien features. I was going to mention that, she thought spoke softly. My full title is Astrea, first daughter of the third resonance, heir to the Luminari High Council. She paused. But I prefer just Astrea. The elder's patterns shifted in what Nathan was beginning to recognize as amusement. You have done our house a great service, Dr. Rivera. By the ancient laws of the Luminari, you have earned the right of joining. Joining? Nathan asked, just as Astrea's patterns flared in alarm. Father, he doesn't understand our ways. The laws are clear, another council member interjected, their thought voice stern. He provided aid to a member of the High House in their time of need, offered shelter, and assisted in repairs. These are the three pillars of the bonding ritual. Nathan's scientific mind raced to catch up. Bonding ritual? The elder luminari's patterns glowed with what seemed like satisfaction. By our most sacred traditions, you have initiated the courtship of my daughter. The ceremony must be completed within one lunar cycle, or both our peoples will face grave dishonor. The room fell silent except for the constant hum of the station's systems. Nathan looked at Astrea, whose patterns had taken on a complex swirl he couldn't interpret. I'm sorry, she thought, spoke privately to him. I should have warned you. In our culture, acts of sacrifice and aid are the highest form of declaring intention. So by helping you, Nathan said slowly, I accidentally proposed marriage? To deny the joining now would be seen as a rejection of not just Astrea, but of all luminari, one of the council members added gravely. The diplomatic implications would be severe. Nathan thought of Earth's fledgling interstellar relations program, of humanity's desperate hope to join the galactic community. One wrong move here could set human advancement back decades. He looked at Astrea again, seeing worry in her tripled gaze but also something else, curiosity, perhaps? Interest? The elder luminari raised their hands, sending ripples of light through the air. It is decided then. The joining ceremony will commence when Europa's orbit brings it closest to Jupiter. Dr. Rivera, you will be instructed in our ways. They paused, their patterns forming complex geometries. Unless, of course, you wish to reject our daughter's hand? Nathan felt the weight of two civilizations' futures settling on his shoulders. But as he looked at Astrea, he remembered the wonder he'd felt at first seeing her, the easy rapport they developed in just 6 hours. Maybe there were worse fates than being married to a fascinating alien princess who shared his curiosity about the universe. I would be honored, he said carefully, to learn more about your traditions. Astrea's patterns burst into brilliant colors, though whether from relief, happiness, or sheer panic, Nathan couldn't tell. The elder's approval radiated through the room like a warm breeze. Excellent, they declared. Let the preparation begin. Dr. Rivera, welcome to the third resonance of the luminari high houses. I trust you'll find our ways illuminating. As the council members began discussing arrangements in rapid thought-speak, Nathan caught Astrea's eye. So, he projected privately, is there anything else about your culture I should know before I accidentally start another interstellar incident? Her response carried that musical laughter again. Oh, Nathan, she thought spoke, her patterns dancing with what he hoped was affection, we haven't even begun to discuss the pre-joining trials yet. Nathan had a feeling his life as a simple xenobiologist was about to become much more interesting. Nathan stood in his quarters, examining his reflection in the crystalline mirror the luminari had installed. His new ceremonial robes seemed to be made of living light, shifting colors with each movement. The fabric, if it could be called that, responded to his thoughts and emotions, currently swirling with patterns that perfectly matched his anxiety. The robes suit you, Astrea's thought voice drifted into his mind before she appeared in his doorway. Over the past week, he'd grown accustomed to the way she could project her presence before physically arriving. Though they're betraying your nervousness. Can you blame me? Nathan turned to face her, trying not to appear as overwhelmed as he felt. In the past 7 days, I've had to learn 1,000-year-old luminari protocols, master basic resonance manipulation, and memorized the entire history of your house. My brain feels like it's been through a quantum accelerator. Astrea's patterns rippled with sympathy. You're doing remarkably well, actually. Most non-luminari can't even grasp basic thought speech in their first year, let alone handle resonance energy. She moved closer, her own ceremonial attire making her look even more ethereal than usual. Though I'm still sorry you were dragged into this. Are you? Nathan asked, surprising himself with the question. Sorry, I mean? Her 3 eyes focused on him, galaxies spinning in their depths. "I'm sorry for the pressure it puts on you," she said carefully. "But I'm not sorry for the chance to know you better." Her patterns shifted to a deep, warm gold. "You're different from what I expected." Before Nathan could respond, a chime resonated through the station. "The first trial begins in 10 minutes, the station's AI announced, its usual monotone somehow more formal since the luminari had upgraded its systems. "Ready to prove your worth to the High Council?" Astrea asked, offering her arm in the traditional manner. Nathan took it, feeling the warm buzz of her energy field interacting with his ceremonial robes. "As ready as I'll ever be to fight a quantum anomaly with my mind." The main observation deck had been transformed into a ceremonial arena. The Luminari Council members floated in a circle around the edges, their forms barely contained by physical space. In the center, a sphere of pure energy pulsed with barely contained power. The elder, who Nathan had learned was called the First Resonance, stepped forward. "Nathan Rivera of Earth, you seek to join with the third house of Luminari. The first trial tests your ability to harmonize with our energy. Approach the sphere." Nathan walked forward, his robes flowing like water. He'd practiced this all week, but theory was different from facing a ball of quantum energy that could theoretically fold him through 11 dimensions if he made a mistake. "Remember," Astrea's thought voice touched his mind privately, "it's not about control. It's about understanding." Nathan nodded, reaching out both physically and mentally toward the sphere. The energy responded immediately, sending tendrils of light dancing around him. He felt his consciousness expanding, touching the edges of reality itself. The Luminari didn't just manipulate energy, they communed with the fundamental forces of the universe. Focusing his thoughts, Nathan began the harmonic sequence they'd taught him. The sphere pulsed in response, its chaotic energies gradually synchronizing with his mental patterns. It was like conducting an orchestra composed of quantum strings, each vibration contributing to a greater harmony. The council members' patterns brightened as the sphere stabilized, its energy flowing in controlled spirals around Nathan. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of simply containing the energy as the trial required, Nathan found himself understanding it on a deeper level. He saw how the quantum fields interacted, how reality itself was just one expression of an infinite resonance. Acting on instinct, he began weaving the energy into new patterns, creating a miniature replica of the Europa base, then Jupiter, then the entire solar system in glowing quantum light. The display spun and danced, each celestial body perfectly detailed down to the smallest moon. Gasps of surprise, actual sound, not thought speech, echoed from the council members. Astrea's patterns flared with pride and something else, something warmer. "Extraordinary," the First Resonance declared. "Not only have you passed the trial, but you have demonstrated an innate understanding of quantum artistry. A rare gift, even among our people." Nathan carefully let the energy disperse, his mind spinning from the experience. "I just saw how it wanted to flow. Like watching a dance and joining in." Perhaps, one of the council members mused, "this joining is more fitting than we initially believed." Astrea moved to Nathan's side, her patterns interweaving with the light from his robes. "The second trial traditionally involves navigating the paths of memory," she explained. "But I think you've earned a short rest first." As they left the observation deck, Nathan felt the council's approval radiating behind them. In just a week, he'd gone from studying simple bacteria to manipulating quantum fields and preparing to marry an alien princess. And somehow, the strangest part was how natural it all felt. "Your patterns," Astrea noted as they walked, "they're showing gold now too." Nathan looked down at his robes, seeing the matching warm hues swirling through the fabric. "Is that significant?" Astrea's thought voice carried a smile. "Among my people, gold patterns are said to appear when two resonances find their harmony." She paused, her own patterns brightening. "When two beings are truly in sync." Nathan felt his robes shifting to even warmer hues. Well, he said, trying to sound casual despite the way his heart was racing, I guess we should thank your father for this arranged marriage then. Arranged? Astria's wind chime laugh filled his mind. Nathan, I crashed my ship on purpose. I'd been watching you study Europa for months. The only thing I didn't plan was my family's dramatic timing. Nathan stopped walking, staring at her in shock. You, what? But before she could explain, the station's alerts blared to life. Through the windows, space itself seemed to tear open, revealing ships unlike anything Nathan had ever seen. And these weren't luminari vessels. The Void Hunters, Astria whispered, her patterns dulling to a deep blue. They found us. The Void Hunters' ships were like tears in reality, not simply black, but absent of everything, even space itself. They surrounded Europa Base in a perfect geometric pattern, their very presence making the station's quantum shields flicker and strain. We need to get to the council chamber, Astria said, her thought voice tight with urgency. Her patterns had shifted to deep crimson, a color Nathan had never seen her display before. Now. They raced through the station's corridors, their ceremonial robes flowing like liquid starlight. Nathan's mind was spinning with questions, but survival took precedence. Want to tell me why ships that shouldn't exist are interrupting our wedding preparations? Astria's response carried a mix of guilt and determination. The Void Hunters are quantum parasites. They feed on resonance energy, consuming entire civilizations to fuel their existence. She paused as they reached the council chamber. They're the reason I was really watching Europa. The council chamber was already in chaos, or what passed for chaos among the luminari. The elder members floated in rapid discussion, their patterns cascading through colors Nathan's human mind couldn't quite process. The first resonance turned as they entered, all three eyes focusing on them with ancient intensity. The barriers are failing, they announced, their thought voice reaching everyone present. The hunters have grown stronger since our last encounter. Last encounter? Nathan looked at Astria. Just how much don't I know about what's going on? Before she could answer, the station shuddered. Through the quantum displays, Nathan watched in horror as one of the Void Hunter ships simply absorbed a section of Europa's ice crust, leaving a perfect hemisphere of nothingness in its wake. The Luminari have been at war with the Void Hunters for millennia, Astria explained quickly, her patterns shifting as she helped the council reinforce the station's defenses. We thought we'd driven them to the edges of known space, but they've been rebuilding, evolving. They followed me here because, she hesitated. Because Europa is more than just an icy moon with interesting bacteria, Nathan finished, the pieces finally clicking into place. Those signal patterns I detected, the ones that led me to you, they weren't random, were they? The first resonance interjected, Europa's core resonates at a quantum frequency that could power our defenses against the hunters for 1,000 years. We had hoped to study it quietly, prepare our countermeasures in secret. But they found us anyway, another council member added grimly. And now they will consume both Europa and Earth's solar system to fuel their expansion. Nathan watched as another section of Europa vanished into the void. His home, his research, his entire solar system, all of it would be erased, become nothing more than food for these cosmic parasites. Unless. The resonance trials, he said suddenly, turning to Astria. The way the quantum energy responded to me, that wasn't just ceremony, was it? You were testing to see if a human could help channel Europa's core frequency. Astria's patterns swirled with hope and fear. It was meant to be a gradual process, training you over years. But yes. Your species has a unique quantum signature, one that could theoretically harmonize with both luminari energy and Europa's core resonance. But attempting it now, untrained, would probably kill me, Nathan finished. He looked out at the encroaching ships, at the void spreading across Europa's surface. But if we do nothing, everyone dies anyway. The station shook again, more violently this time. Warning lights flashed as the quantum shields began to collapse. The council members' patterns dimmed, their energy depleting as they fought to maintain the barriers. "There's something else you should know," Astrea said, moving closer to him. "When I said I crashed my ship on purpose, I didn't just choose you for your quantum compatibility." Her patterns shifted to that warm gold again, even in the midst of crisis. "I chose you because in all my observations, you showed the same curiosity, the same drive to understand the universe that I've always felt. You were never just a strategy." Nathan felt his ceremonial robes responding to his emotions, synchronizing with her patterns. "Well," he said, managing a smile, "at least our arranged marriage won't be boring." He turned to the first resonance. "What do we need to do?" The elder luminari's patterns intensified. "To channel Europa's core resonance, you would need to fully join your quantum signature with a luminari's. Not just the surface bonding of the ceremony, but a complete synchronization of your very existence." "A true joining," Astrea added softly. "One that cannot be undone." Another tremor rocked the station. Through the quantum displays, Nathan watched as the Void Hunters began their final approach. Time was running out. "I'm ready," he said, taking Astrea's hand. Their energies mingled immediately, ceremonial robes blazing with shared light. "Though this isn't exactly how I imagined our wedding would go. The joining must be perfect," the first resonance warned. "Any misalignment could shatter both your quantum signatures and destabilize Europa's core." "No pressure," Nathan muttered. Then, to Astrea, "I hope your father appreciates me skipping straight to the final ceremony." Her wind chime laugh, though strained, filled his mind. "Just follow my lead, Nathan. Like in the trial, don't try to control it. Understand it. Feel it." As the Void Hunters closed in and Europa trembled beneath them, Nathan and Astrea began the true joining, their very existence hanging in the balance between resonance and void. The moment Nathan and Astrea's quantum signatures began to merge, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath. Their ceremonial robes dissolved into pure energy, forming a cocoon of light around them. Through their growing connection, Nathan felt Astrea's consciousness merging with his own, not just her thoughts, but her very essence, centuries of memories and knowledge flooding into his mind. He saw her first flight through the crystal rings of her homeworld, felt her wonder at discovering new forms of life across the galaxy, experienced her growing fascination as she watched him work on Europa. In return, she felt his childhood dreams of the stars, his dedication to understanding life's mysteries, the moment he first saw her emerging from her ship. "Focus," the first resonance's thought voice seemed to come from a great distance. "Find the core frequency." Together, their merged consciousness reached deep into Europa's ice, past the layers Nathan had studied for so long, down to where the moon's heart beat with quantum fire. The resonance was overwhelming, pure, ancient energy that had pulsed since the solar system's birth. No wonder the Void Hunters wanted it. Through the quantum displays, they watched as the hunter ships moved to their final attack positions. The void began to spread across Europa's surface like cracks in reality itself. The council members' barriers were failing, their patterns growing dim with exhaustion. "We need to hurry," Astrea's thoughts merged with Nathan's. "But carefully. Feel how the frequencies want to align." Nathan understood. Like in the trial sphere, but on a cosmic scale, they weren't trying to control the energy, they were becoming part of its dance. Their joined consciousness began to pulse in rhythm with Europa's core, three distinct frequencies gradually synchronizing into one perfect harmony. The first resonance's patterns flared. "Now! Channel it!" Nathan and Astrea's merged form became a conduit for Europa's power. Energy surged through them, more power than either had imagined possible. It hurt, oh, how it hurt, but they held on, their shared consciousness directing the flow outward, through the station's quantum network, into space itself. The wave of resonance energy struck the Void Hunters' ships like light piercing darkness. But instead of destroying them, it did something else entirely. The quantum frequency filled the artificial voids, transforming their nothingness into something new. The tears in space began to heal, reality rewoven with threads of pure resonance. The hunter ships themselves changed, their absence becoming presence, their hunger for energy transformed into a new form of existence. Through their merged consciousness, Nathan and Astrea understood what was happening. They weren't destroying the hunters, they were helping them evolve. Of course, their shared thoughts realized. They were never truly void, just lost resonances seeking harmony. As the transformation completed, the former void hunters' ships now shimmered with the same crystalline properties as luminari vessels. Their crew's consciousness, freed from the endless hunger that had driven them for millennia, reached out in confused wonder. Welcome back to existence, the first resonance projected to them. After so long in the void, you have found your way home. The power flowing through Nathan and Astrea gradually subsided. As their consciousness began to separate back into individual forms, they retained an echo of their perfect synchronization, a permanent harmony linking their quantum signatures. Their ceremonial robes reformed, but they were different now. The patterns that flowed through the fabric were neither human nor luminari, but something new, telling the story of their joining in shifting waves of light. Well, Nathan said, both aloud and in thought speech, still adjusting to their new dual nature, I guess this means the wedding ceremony is complete? Astrea's wind chime laugh resonated through both their minds. Indeed. Though I believe we've set a new standard for dramatic ceremonies among the high houses. The first resonance approached, their patterns displaying colors Nathan could now recognize as joy and pride. More than a ceremony, you have shown us a new way forward. The joining of human and luminari consciousness has done what neither of our species could do alone, heal the void rather than fight it. The transformed hunter ships moved into peaceful orbit around Europa, their crews beginning tentative communication with the Council. Millennia of war had ended not with destruction, but with understanding. So, Nathan projected privately to Astrea, this isn't quite how you planned it when you crashed your ship here? Her patterns rippled with amusement and affection. Actually, it's better. I was hoping to find a way to bridge our species, to show my people that humans were ready to join the galactic community. Her 3 eyes sparkled with familiar galaxies. I didn't expect to find someone who would help me bridge realities themselves. Just another day studying bacteria on Europa, Nathan replied, feeling her joy harmonize with his own. Though I suppose I'll have to update my research parameters. Day 848, married alien princess, helped evolve quantum parasites, rewrote laws of reality. Through their lingering connection, he felt her love for his peculiarly human way of processing the extraordinary. And he knew she felt his amazement at finding someone who shared his deepest drive to understand the universe's mysteries. As Europa Base hummed with the activity of 2, now 3, civilizations beginning a new chapter together, Nathan and Astrea stood at the observation window, their patterns dancing in perfect harmony. Beyond the glass, Jupiter watched over them all, its eternal storms bearing witness to the endless possibilities that arise when curiosity and understanding triumph over fear of the unknown. Ready for our next adventure? Astrea asked, her thought voice warm in his mind. Nathan smiled, feeling the quantum resonance of their shared future. With you? Always.